Welcome to the boardroom. I'm your host, Ntlalo. I am with Mr. Pagamisa George, who is the head of trade and investment at ECDC, Eastern Cape Development Corporation. We are here for the networking drive leading up to the Presidential South African Investment Conference. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much to you and viewers and listeners.
Yes, sir. Tell us just in summary the work that your office does.
Our office is charged in terms of the Establishment Act of ECDC for promoting the Eastern Cape as a trade and investment destination in the Eastern Cape. That means a lot, but to simplify it, we have got a responsibility to market the Eastern Cape as a suitable destination for anyone who wants to invest his capital, one. And secondly, we are responsible to support enterprises that wish to trade beyond the borders of South Africa, which means export. So those are the main responsibilities of our programs as our establishment by the ECDC Act.
Yes, there's been a huge investment into the work in the Eastern Cape, and there's just been an exciting investment drive into the Eastern Cape. Tell us more about the work behind the scenes that went into this.
The Eastern Cape government has realized that the provinces in South Africa that have succeeded to get the lion's share of the investment pie have been the provinces that have put in resources behind marketing, where you don't assume that you are known by investors that you exist or by enterprises that are exporters that you exist, but go deliberately in marketing your province. So the Eastern Cape government has done that, and they also partnered with the DTIC, Department of Trade Industry Competition, to establish a Invest SA one-stop shop Eastern Cape, which is an office located at 12 Esplanade Road in East London, to provide all services that are needed by investors when they want to land their investment in the Eastern Cape. So they get a bouquet of services from that office, be it a work permit, be it a visa, a work visa, be it a clearance from customs, from SARS. All of those services are available in the office called Invest SA one-stop shop that is operated by the ECDC.
Yes, because I'm looking at there must have been a lot of work also with the lobbying of these investors, to put their weight and pull them to get behind the province. So, I'm looking at you also have partnerships between the departments.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of cooperation going on, and a good work at that. Yeah,
the Eastern Cape government has established a lot of partnership internally and internationally. We've got partnership with the likes of the DTIC through the export councils. The export councils such as SAFLEX. SAFLEX is an export council for food, leather and textile. We've got a partnership to promote Eastern Cape enterprises that produces leather, bags, textiles, into the rest of the globe. We've got a partnership with another export council called SAAC for South African electrotechnical services. So those are the partnerships that enable us to help companies to export and market their products internationally. We have partnership with global agencies such as the USA Trade Hub to promote our products from the Eastern Cape into the US market. And we have seen an increase of products from the Eastern Cape getting to the US market. And we have had a partnership with Trade Forward Southern Africa by the EU to promote Eastern Cape companies who wish to export products into the European market. We have now recently concluded a partnership with SIPO, which is Swiss International Promotion Agency, to support Eastern Cape companies to export to Switzerland and the EU. So those partnerships are very useful because they provide resources to the Eastern Cape government. They provide technical support to enable us to streamline our services to our enterprises and give a soft landing for investors coming from these countries into the Eastern Cape.
Yes, in marketing we say we sell stories. We tell stories in branding, in reaching out, and in selling our brands. And what is the story of the Eastern Cape that you are telling investors?
The story of the Eastern Cape is an exciting one. They always say Eastern Cape, the home of legends. But basically, the Eastern Cape, when it started, magnifying its brand, 3 years ago, we were able, within a short space of time, to attract big productions in film, such as the documentaries, reality shows, such as South African reality shows, such as Survivor. The first time that Survivor South Africa was shot in South Africa ever was shot in the Eastern Cape for 2 times already. Yes. The season 8 was shot in the Wild Coast. Following the season 8, season 9 was shot in the Eastern Cape, in the Sunshine Coast, at the Fish River Sun. Yes. Because they realized, production company have realized that they were not aware of the beauty and what the Eastern Cape has to offer. It's not only the House of Legends, but it's got rich history, treasure of stories that film producers have never seen before. But following that, we have had more than 15 major international production, commercial production coming to the Eastern Cape, funded through the Eastern Cape Investment Film Fund. And, it's exciting now. We've got a telenovela that is replacing the Queen called the Ngcakaza, the Empire, commissioned by MultiChoice. So, and others that are done by ETV. We've got a lineup now of various productions, because it's not only in words that Eastern Cape home of legend, but they've seen the beauty, and the beauty is calling them. And apart from that, the Eastern Cape has become a home of renewable energy or clean energy production, such as wind farms. We've got a number of wind farms that have been implemented. Others are being implemented now, Coast Globe, Craydog. But also now we are with companies such as Hive Energy, looking into green ammonium, hydrogen power, which will export to countries like Germany, but also helping South Africa with its energy challenges. We were both suitable for solar and wind energy generation. But apart from that, there is a new drive now to attract more global business services companies, which is, they reduce it to call centers. So the Eastern Cape is suitable. It's got young population, English speaking, that is available to companies, global companies that want to offshore their services, whether they're in finance, medicine, tourism, and to an extent that Eastern Cape government has added on top of the DTIC incentive, an incentive done by the Eastern Cape government to attract more investors, to invest in the Eastern Cape, because those are film industry as well as global business services attract more youth, and they absorb more youth employment. So that's what our story is. And in terms of agriculture, we are one of the biggest exporter of meat into the UAE and the Middle East. We have seen shipments, and every month, in fact, it was every month we're shipping chilled meat to UAE, but now we've got new contract now to ship every week to Kuwait and Oman. So it means then that the Eastern Cape is a major player, both in green energy generation, film industry, global business services, as well as export of chilled meat to the global villages.
Yes, because I've seen the rebranding. Also, you have a footprint all over Eastern Cape of the offices for ECDC. So infrastructure has been put in place, to organize the Eastern Cape and rebrand the Eastern Cape. Also, say the raw materials, the riches of the Eastern Cape. Speak more to that, please.
The riches of the Eastern Cape, basically, it's its agricultural potential, which has been under-exploited. We've got tracts of arable land that have not been tilled. But the challenge was you always want to stimulate the market first to make sure that the market is aware that you are available to supply. Now that their market is here at our doorstep, they want more fruit, citrus, deciduous fruit, they want more meat, they want more skins, they want more products that are coming from maize. Now it's up now to the Eastern Cape government. That's why we're having platforms like this to get investors to partner with government to put money into the arable land, make them productive so that we can respond to the demands of the global market, in terms of agricultural production, in dairy products, in deciduous fruit, citrus fruit, and now recently in technology, film, as well as ICT. We've got a hub in East London, training young people in new technologies such as animation, coding, gaming. It's giving young people a footprint into the fastest growing sectors of the global economy. So that's what the Eastern Cape is all about. At 42.1% unemployment, we are hopeful and we're very confident, but in 5 years we would see a very drastic decline in the unemployment, especially among youth.
Yes, because these are new developments. I think 5 billion, if I'm not mistaken, was invested into the ECDC, I think in the past year, if I'm not mistaken. Also say, with the auditing in the greater scheme of things, how have the Eastern Cape municipalities performed?
There is a steady improvement. 5 years ago, you lose hope that there would be any clean governance within our municipalities, but the partnership between national government and the provincial government has seen a number of those municipalities improving drastically their accounting systems, their governance systems. You see a lot of them now coming with clean audits. It's giving us hope, that there is accountability amongst our municipality. Remember, in terms of investment promotion, we attract investors as the ECDC, but when they land at a municipal space. So to retain those that we have attracted, is a responsibility of a municipality. If a municipality cannot deliver services, so it also becomes our duty now to also help with capacitating the municipality with their systems to make sure that they always render services to our investors. Because our responsibility is both attraction and retention. Yes. Because there's no use attracting, but we are losing them, those. So it's a welcome development to see a number of municipalities come up with clean audits. But it's still a long way out, but the concrete commitment between the national government and the provincial government to support municipalities, improve their governance and accounting systems.
Yes, sir. To conclude also, sir, what are some of the projects you are excited about as Eastern Cape that come top of mind right now?
I'm excited about the livestock export trade, where even small farmers are able to sell to the global market through our export promotion. We even have, added an incentive called Route to Market as ECDC to help all of those companies that are getting export orders with the compliance with new markets such as packaging, such as labeling, and all of those are expensive. But through that incentive, we make it cost-effective and more affordable for even small companies to export to global market. But I'm also excited about the film industry. If I will expose on my desk the contracts that we're negotiating with big commissioning companies such as Trace TV, ETV, MultiChoice, new production, long-term film production, such as drama series and telenovelas. It's exciting. A lot of young people in photography, script writing, editing, all of that will get employment in this industry. And the excitement that is brought by the renewable energy, it's exciting. We've got a list of companies that are not only building a wind farm, they are setting factories to produce components of wind farms, and the position that has been taken by wind farm companies to produce to replace the steel tower of a wind turbine with concrete structure is very exciting, because the 100% of that tower now is going to be supplied locally, domestically, instead of the steel that was imported. So there are companies in Ngcakaza that are putting factories. Others are still working with us to explore new sites. So we're just excited about that prospect.
I think also the automotive factor.
The automotive factor.
We've got strong.
We've got a number of black-owned companies that are now certified to supply components. Last year at this function, we had a Auto Africa group that is going to be supplying components to VW. They have taken over now a paint shop in Ngcakaza, a paint shop that is going to be supplying paint to automotive company, starting with VW and other OEMs or original equipment manufacturers. So a black-owned company supplying sides and rooftops to Mercedes-Benz, black-owned companies. So we're looking into a lot of those providing skills and jobs to young people in machine operation, in artisan services, in paint, panel beating, and so on. So automotive industry is growing leaps and bounds in the Eastern Cape. And the fact that we're also preparing for a new era on electric vehicles, the partnership with AIDC, Automotive Industry Center, which is our company that we own 100%, to put in charging stations to stimulate the demand of EVs. It also shows that government is committed to transition into that era and bringing young people into the enterprises that are linked to that industry as well.
Yes, sir. The rural economy. Also, because the farmers sometimes they complain about the access, to the mainstream end of things and the mainstream food chains. What is the work maybe in the infrastructure to encourage the rural economy? Because we understand also Eastern Cape has a vast population in the rural economy, and actually those young people who could be skillful and work the land in the rural areas are coming to the towns. And sometimes they find themselves unemployed, but if the investment is encouraged in the rural areas, it could be very profitable. The whole nation could actually do good in that space with the youth and with the youth unemployment in South Africa.
You're correct. The realization by the Eastern Cape government has led to tonight you hear Kuha talking about a new zone, special economic zone, which is going to be located in Mthatha. It's called Wild Coast Special Economic Zone. That zone is specifically looking into taking the investment right into the rural areas for production of agricultural produce. Myself, the MD of a Kuwaiti-based company that import meat and livestock called Amawashi is going to be here tonight. We're finalizing a process of partnering with government to look into what we call maize, what we call red hubs, that are in place right now in Kanduli, places like Kanduli and Mount Elif, to get more farmers producing maize that is going to be lucerne, maize, barley that is going to be converted into animal feed and other products that are supplying the value chain of livestock farming. But one of the reasons why we've got this platform, one more investors to partner with government to go back and resuscitate infrastructure like dipping tanks, camps, grazing pastures, fencing of those providing water, veterinary medicines. We've got a company from India that is negotiating partnership with us in the Department of Agriculture in the Eastern Cape to put in packages for smallholder farmers to produce, to have access to their own veterinary medicine so that they can improve their livestock and get more money for the livestock. So that is literally bringing that to, and we've got for the craft and the products, a shop called Eastern Cape Craft Collection Shop. More than 80% of companies or suppliers to that shop, it's at the Beacon Bay crossing. It's got now an online platform called Shopify. It's literally rural women that are supplying the global market, the domestic market with their products. If you look at that shop, it's got a catalog, it's got a website. They are able to be known by domestic and global market, in producing from where they are. We're not moving them from rural. You've got transport, logistic companies that are collecting their products from where they are to that platform. And we are planning to have satellite in Mthatha and PE, beyond the one that is London because of the demand that we're seeing. So gradually we are taking the investment back into the rural areas. The film production, most new sites now are in the rural areas, to provide opportunity. At one stage in last year, one of the telenovelas that wanted to shoot was in Kentani, but they could not get the cameras to the villages there because of the road. And we negotiated with the Office of the Premier, to talk about, dealing with the infrastructure challenges, so that if we promote film, the film equipment should be able to reach the rural areas. And there is a commitment from Mr. Pelele Mhlaba. We'll be talking about strategic infrastructure project tonight. He works from EXEC. He's driving that drive to get more investment in improving the infrastructure, so that there is benefit in every initiative that we support back into the rural economy.
Wonderful. Yeah. Sir, just to close it, also just a call to the investors. The promotion drive that ECDC and other partnering departments are doing here tonight, leading up to the South African Investment Conference with the President, Cyril Ramaphosa. Just make that call about the Eastern Cape.
The Eastern Cape is open for business. Investors, we've got an Invest SA one-stop shop Eastern Cape. It is ready and open at all times to provide your service. It's at your service. Our zones, East London Industrial Development Zone, Kucha Industrial Development Zone, are working with us. They are open to support you with your factories, your space, and access to global markets. So the Eastern Cape is an ideal destination. Come and visit us and see what we can provide for you. We are ready to support you in every step of the way, and so that you get a soft landing in the Eastern Cape.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Phakamisa George, Head of Trade and Investment, ECDC. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We are at the ECDC, Eastern Cape Development Corporation networking event leading up to the SAIC, South African Investment Conference, headed by the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa. I am with Mr. Jarana, Board Chair of the ECDC. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Sir, tell us more about the work and the investment that has been put behind ECDC and the work that ECDC is doing in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah, we've been renewing ECDC in terms of its own work, its own capability. So we are on our third year now as a board. We've been driving renewal, building back capabilities on ECDC, because ECDC is the lead development agency for the Eastern Cape. It has to advise government, it has to implement some of the programs, it must coordinate, collaborate with other agencies, whether it's KUHA, ELIDZ, or municipal agencies, to actually make sure that Eastern Cape's development, economic development, is on path. So we've been going through renewal, bringing in capabilities, putting together new operating models, new skill sets, including IT systems. So that's where we are. So we, at the same time, we haven't stopped delivering on what needs to be done. So lending to SMEs, looking at new modeling of some of the infrastructure plans in the province, really developing models for diversification of the economy of the province, whilst keeping hold of the automobile. AIDC, that supports the auto sector, is a subsidiary of the ECDC. Very, very successful agency that is running there. It's our subsidiary. So that's the work we are doing. So a renewal of the ECDC, bringing more skill, making sure it can execute well on its mandate and its own program, but at the same time begin to play a meaningful role in Eastern Cape's economic development. Lending to SMEs, especially startups, becomes super important for us. So having liquidity to do so is critical. But to get liquidity to lend, you must be trusted that you are the good player, you are the good place of people's money. You can lend and recover the money back with low impairments rates. So this is what we have to build within the ECDC, and that's what we are doing. Also, what we've been driving strongly is promoting inbound investment as well as outbound trade. We spoke about citrus today. How do we make sure that we get the bigger share of the international market on citrus, as well as whether it's beef or mutton into the Middle East. So these are the things that we have to do: investment promotion, trade promotion, lending to SMEs, but also building a capable organization that helps the province execute projects better. So it's a renewal program, but I think we actually have made good progress.
Yes. Eastern Cape is very important to me, especially Umtata. You told me you're from Umtata, but the investment and the renewal of that town, it has been wanting for years. How is ECDC reaching these small towns and the infrastructure, developing the infrastructure? Because some of the places the infrastructure is very old.
Yeah.
Yes. How are you reaching these small towns and working with those administrations in their respective communities?
So the first thing we are doing is around the reindustrializing those towns. So if you look at Umtata, we are investing with DTIC on rebuilding the industrial, the Vulindlela industrial, making sure that the factories that are old, some of them vandalized, we can rebuild them and make them more habitable so that people can come and trade. There are a lot of startup businesses who are looking for spaces, so we have to fix what we have. We work with DTIC. DTIC is a very strong and good partner for us. We have a development plan, master plan for Ibiza. You know, it has always been another hub of the industry in the past, pre-democracy. So that is almost gone. So we have a master plan working with DTIC to reinvest in Ibiza. But what you'll see as an investment with Ibiza is going to take into account the modern context, the current context of the economy. So there's no longer a Transkei, it's an open economy, and there's global competitiveness. What can you do that can sustain an industrial base within Ibiza? Most likely, it's probably going to be a mid-size manufacturers and SME hubs being built there to allow the startup, the young businesses to come in instead of massive factories and only. So you're going to have a mix of that coming through. Already in Timbaza, massive development is happening. Bulk infrastructure is done. Some of the factories are snails factories are being produced in Timbaza today. So going back to reindustrialize, first we must first fix what you have, what was there, make it modern, make it work. The second part that we are working on is to also start to look at what are some of the infrastructure we can build in small towns for young startup businesses. There's not a lot of young people who are looking for just retail spaces to sell something. Others are looking for small manufacturing spaces to produce. So that's what we are seeing as insight coming through. So we have to actually build capital to go to areas like Mount Frey, go to Lusikisiki, remodel what was called the Transido, the Transkei Small Industries Development Organization in terms of infrastructure, remodel it, repurpose it, making sure it's relevant today. Yes. So then also go to small towns that never had this. So and it's all demand driven because we are getting young people wanting spaces to trade today, and we need to go back and rebuild the infrastructure. That's what we are doing.
Yes. What is the strength of the Eastern Cape among those international competitors? Because now is a global economy that we are dealing with. How are we selling Eastern Cape? What is the strength that investors can look that this particular maybe commodity we can find in the Eastern Cape?
So I think firstly we know that Eastern Cape has a legacy of strength in the auto sector, so that's given. Yeah. So there you have to defend and grow. Defend by going to EV, making sure you've got skills. You create platforms for transformation of the industry, build an ecosystem of suppliers that support that industry in auto. So there it's about defend and grow. So defend where you are and grow market share in terms of more auto manufacturers coming to Eastern Cape, and those that are manufacturing already in Eastern Cape to give a much more bigger output in terms of the various types of vehicles that they manufacture. So that's very clear. That's why the AIDC is there to plug that gap, to make sure you deal with component support. What we also know that high potential for Eastern Cape is agriculture. Very, very clear. Whether it's soya, whether it's citrus, whether it's beef or mutton. But what we need to be able to do is to understand the dynamics, the social dynamics of the Eastern Cape. For the western part of the Eastern Cape, you can get large-scale farmers that can produce at scale, and then you deal with that and support. But for the eastern part, largely the former Transkei, you've got fragmented land parcels. So finding models of how do you stitch together pieces of land, amasimi abantu, that belong to different people, and therefore give them the scale in terms of how you render so into the market. This is what we have to work on. So it's not an easy thing to simply say. So if you look at some of the countries in the continent, their agriculture is small scale, 1 hectare, 5 hectare. That's their DNA. The South African DNA is large scale intervention in agriculture, lot of mechanization, lot of automation. So we have to find a way where we can actually take what is small and fragmented in the eastern side, stitch it together within a right commercial agreement, and be able to render it as if it's a large farm, and therefore be able to supply the big retailers. If you look at them, part of the challenge with agriculture locally is that even the retailers want scalable supply of agri-produce. They also want to make sure that there's consistency of supply. They can't come and buy from you just because you happen to have 5,000 heads of cabbage today. Are you going to have them throughout the season and sustainable basis? So an ECDC has to stitch that and support that value chain and make sure that if a Pick n Pay, a Boxer, or any other of the big retailers wants to buy, they buy from an aggregator. This aggregator has a myriad of primary producers at the back feeding in. Technology, people, it's all about leadership. So that's how we are going to transform that side.
So you're talking cooperatives.
Cooperatives are one aspect cooperatives, and that's one aspect of that. But actually, a company can be set up and go to and take 500 hectares of land that belongs to a number of families, whether they are 50, pull them in. They come in as investors with the company based on the value of the land. And then that company works the land in the same way that commercial agriculture does so. And then it feeds through to the market. And then it can supply Unilever, can supply Pioneer Foods, can supply Tiger Brands with commodities on a consistent basis because it's a single production skill. So you don't have a scenario where Dlamini does well, but Mkwati next door doesn't work the land properly. That's some of the difficulties of working in a fragmented land tenure system. And ECDC has to work very, very hard to finesse that model to make sure that fragmentation is not seen as a disadvantage. We use it as an advantage, and that's the opportunity. So global opportunity is there. You had today China, Russia, Europe looking for commodities. So we can produce that because the land tenure, that is the land structure, arable land is there. We have to fix the issue of, we can't change ownership structure, but we can render the ownership structure in a manner that gives us lends itself to scale and quality production, including food traceability. So that's what the ECDC has to do to actually transform and diversify agriculture at the corner of the Eastern Cape.
Lastly, say, what are the goalposts that the ECDC has set for themselves, maybe looking to the next 5 to 10 years? What are we looking at achieving as ECDC? So
broadly speaking, we have a myriad of young people who are coming out of university. They are unemployed today, and they want to start businesses. We have to be able to bring enough liquidity into the ECDC so that we can actually provide more loans to more people who are startup, especially in the small scale businesses. So also to do so, you have to simplify the way of accessing loans. So for example, we're talking about if you are looking for a loan for a spaza shop or a township tire repair or a hair salon, you shouldn't be doing a zero-base business plan because it's standard. We should be able to have a precast business plan so that you just come and say, I've got a marketing plan, the business plan is already in the system. We can lend to you because we are going to say it's small, medium, large. If you are going to be going into piggery, so you're going to say, well, small, medium, large. What is small? Small may be a startup you want to run with 25 porkers. It may mean that you get given 1 boar, 2 saws, and they get fed for 24 months or for the first 12 months until the point of slaughter, so to speak. So packaging that as to make it simple for people to get into business is very key, and also providing support. So we want to scale the number of people who can get help from ECDC, but also we have a very, very clear practical steps of doing this.
Yes, Mr. Jarana, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're at the Eastern Cape Development Corporation networking event to attract investors to invest in the Eastern Cape. This is the event leading up to the SAIC South African Investment Conference organized by the President Cyril Ramaphosa, which is taking place here today in Sandton. My name is Ntlalontle. This is the Boardroom. Goodbye.